Well, hey, everybody, welcome to the Seeing Ability podcast, where we're having a conversation about the world of people with disabilities. And that means we're going to be talking to a variety of guests. Sometimes it's an individual who grew up as that kid with a difference, speaking to us as an adult. Sometimes it's going to be parents that are or have raised children with differences. And other times it's going to be folks that are supporting this community. So it could be people involved in education, people in healthcare, or people in a variety of nonprofits all around the US. First of all, I know you have a lot of choices when it comes to where you spend your free time. So thanks for listening to us and thanks for being here with us today. My guest is Tyler Montgomery. He's the CEO and executive director of an organization you're going to learn about today called Angels in Disguise. Tyler, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jim. I really appreciate taking the time.
Well, this is one of our nonprofit spotlight episodes. And so we're going to talk about the journey. We're going to talk later about your organization, but we like to get to know people just as individuals. So my audience knows we like to hit you, Tyler, with what I call the fast four. This is brought to us by my friends at Reliable Tech Help. So if you have tech needs, be afraid to reach out to them. They're at 502-797-7399. Number one on the fast four, what is your favorite food?
Oh, right now, I'm addicted to some Vietnamese food, banh mi, a banh mi sandwich, pork banh mi. Oh my goodness, I need to stop. I need to stop.
You've got a problem. There's probably a group for
Oh
that.
my God.
Okay, number two, if we were to look at your playlist, what would we find?
Right now, you hear a lot of hippie sabotage, this kind of fun band, and then some electronics, some classics, some soundtrack. I kind of have something going on all the time just to have just a little tune in my head. But yeah, it's a whole hodgepodge of eclectic work. But right now, my favorite right now is hippie sabotage for sure.
Okay, very good. Number three, what have you been enjoying in the realms of a TV show, a movie you've seen, a book you've been reading?
Yeah, so I have a little bit of older show. Well, the past year, it's a Three Body Problem on Netflix, which is just was super interesting on, you know, aliens. For it was one of those great distractions for when I'm doing too much work that I'm like I could just shut my brain off and listen to some sci-fi stuff, and it was just I felt smart and fun. It was good.
Okay, very good. And the last question on the fast four is what about a bucket list? I know you've done a lot of traveling. What about a bucket list destination that you'd like to go but haven't yet?
I think probably Japan would probably be the one. I've definitely spent a lot of time on the stuff closer, or the continents closer, Africa, Europe, but a little bit further. I need to take that extra long flight to go to Japan, Korea.
Fantastic. Well, I know you and I had a chance to talk earlier a little bit about your background, but for folks who are just meeting you, tell us what you do, a little bit of a high level view of your organization, but also you in particular. How did you get into this work? How did you find yourself, your short version of your journey to be the CEO of this organization?
Well, with Angels, we support children with Down syndrome. We basically our main thing is we celebrate it. We do that by giving grants to families that are trying to adopt children with Down syndrome internationally as well as in America, but only American families at the moment. There's a load of them. We're actually about to get to 160 adoptions. I'm just waiting on a few votes from board members. And so it's, very exciting. We love talking to these families, amazing communities, and it's just excited to support them. We also do some heart surgeries and educational grants. I got into this where, my dad's a funny guy. I don't know if he would have said the things he said to us as kids if he knew that me and my sister, when he knew we'd turn out like this. So, we've moved a lot, we've traveled a lot. And one of the things he told me so many times as a kid, love your job, never work it a day in your life. Where it's definitely a little bit of, it's a saying. There's definitely times where, a job's a job, but, every day I get to call families and talk to them about, their dreams and goals. And sometimes I get to call them and say they get to, adopt a child. We get to support them, which these families are on a long road trying to do this. They're raising money. They're spending, they're talking to governments. They're doing so much work, and to take some time to support them and work for them. I love it. It's the best. I got into this where I'm like, oh, what's a fun job? When I was graduating from U of L, I we were winning championships and all this stuff, and I'm like, hey, athletic department seems fun, raising money for these programs. So I got to work under Tom Jurich and Mark Jurich, and they were unbelievable. You know, their legacy in Louisville is unbelievable. And that was the beginning. That was like 17 years ago, at the beginning of my fundraising career. We got to, help do expansion of a baseball field and did a lot of basketball stuff. It was just amazing. And we were winning and it was the best. So then after that, I started working for the YMCA, and it was my first, full, real, you know, uh, full-time job. And I was more the membership director there, but I took it as I could still do some fundraising where I'm like, I
Mhm.
like this fundraising. I'm going to do this hiring, firing kind of group and managing, but it really, I could do some fun programs, and I love that. After that, I went to the Boy Scouts. My two baby projects that I did the most was inner city kids to get camping experience to support them, and then one of my favorite projects, which actually just had their what I would say earth-breaking,
Yeah.
groundbreaking, a skills trade center in Cincinnati, which is more for auto mechanic, plumbing, where it's like giving these kids the opportunity to learn things that they can need, that are in need, and that can help them have a bigger, stronger life. So I loved it. That was great. During this time, my sister was about to have a baby. She was living in Nairobi, Kenya, and I thought, huh, let's go see what she's doing over there. So I spent a few months. I volunteered for an amazing organization called Hamomi House, and it was just so joyful. And I kind of was thinking, this is pretty fun. I want to be a part of my niece's life. So I started a business called Get Active East Africa. It's kind of like a YMCA model where we'd build facilities and run programs out of them. If you could pay, fantastic. We charge you just like people like me, locals, if you have the money, fantastic. If you don't, come follow the program, come on in, let's get fit together. And it was fantastic. We got to build soccer pitches, basketball courts, a self defense dojo. We revamped a pool. We taught hundreds of kids how to swim. It was awesome. It was just like so joyful and fun. And I will say Nairobi is great weather and great community. And I ran that for about 6 years until COVID came around, and a sports business that's giving away a lot of free stuff during COVID, especially in the African response to COVID, like a 7 to 7 curfew and a lot more rules. It got very difficult to continue. So we passed off the facilities to schools, tribes, and kind of washed our hands of it, but they're still being run, still doing some amazing stuff. And I'll give a shout out to my brother-in-law who's running one of the best basketball team in Kenya right now, the Nairobi Lightning. Hopefully he can keep things moving and get into NBA or the Africa NBA, but I have no doubt they're doing some amazing things. So it's just so exciting. And I came back to the States after during this mess, and I took over a Light the Night walk just to kind of get back in the States, and we're helping people dealing with cancer and leukemia, and so it's just for me, it's important to help people. It's important to wake up, and even on hard days, I know that the stuff that I'm working towards is gonna help people. It's gonna make people happy. It's gonna change lives and change opinions. And for me, my favorite thing to do is to enlighten people about Down syndrome right now, because it's just this really cool thing in a way, and it's a two-edged sword in a way as well, where Down syndrome is easy to see. You can be like, oh,
Mhm.
what's going on? And if like, oh, that child has Down syndrome, no big deal. Let me go give him a high five, moving on. If you don't know, you're like, oh, what's that? Who's that? What?
Right.
Can I say this? Oh, uh, like, and there's people that are so polite that makes them nervous. And I think that's can be an issue. But there's also some people that are just rude that it's like, I don't want to deal with this. And so the more people that I can introduce to someone with Down syndrome, the more people are going to be like, oh, this is what this is. And it's just so fun. I'm lucky to be part of Angels in the Skies the past, coming up to 2 years now. And our impact really the past few months, we've had Derby, and we're Louisville based, but we're national. If you can see our map, we're all around. We do all
Yeah.
these adoptions all around the country. And we're just trying to grow and make a bigger impact for these amazing families. And yeah, it's one of those things where I don't know exactly how I fell into this track. I kind of do, but I kind of don't. Like, there's times where I could have made more money in the private sector. There's more that I
Sure.
wouldn't have made an impact, not be changing lives. I'd just be working towards myself. But the more when I kind of go down to these times where I have to make a choice like that, I'm like, I want to do the fun thing. I want to do the thing that's making some
Right.
more impact, and yeah, that's why I'm so blessed and do what I do, but also I'm encouraging more people to get involved, more people to do things where you feel good, where you're not,
Yeah.
your stress is that you want to help more people, or you want to raise to help more families, or to help another heart surgery. And those are my stressful days after we give a heart surgery grant and then they have to go get heart surgery. I'm like, whew, it
Right.
is scary. And I can only imagine to these family members that are, these kids that they love so much and they're just worried and stressed. So if I could have, add any, take any stress from them, or take any, like some of that anxiety away, then, I'm doing something right.
I love that. Well, what a varied background that got you to this particular chapter and focused kind of in the disability advocacy world. That idea of like people encounter somebody who's different, in this case, Down syndrome. What have you, being more in this space now and seeing how that plays out, what have you learned, and what advice would you give to parents when they're first they've got a younger child who has a difference, Down syndrome, some other disability, um, and they kind of have to encounter that world of questions, of stares, of awkwardness. What have you seen? What advice would you give on navigating that, interacting with the general
The
community?
best thing that I've seen, and I try to do in our events, like we do this Angel Day where there'll be our ambassadors, some kids, some adults will be shadowing servers or workers, and there's people that we bring in, but then there's other people that are coming to that store and they have no idea that they're
Sure.
going to be helped by someone with Down syndrome, and when I do see like some of the I take them, and if a family member sees that, I'd be like, "Would you like to meet James?" It's like even in the same sense, it's like, "Would you like to meet James? He'd love to talk to you."
Yeah, like
It just,
build that bridge, build that
yeah.
outreach.
And if they say no, okay, no problem. If they say yes, could be a great friend. You can be changing some minds, and especially about this education thing, it's huge. What 50 years ago, the life expectancy for a child with or a person with Down syndrome was 23 years. Now
Right.
we're at 53, 54 years, and that's because we're doing heart surgery. We're working to make sure there's no issues and trying to educate families and the adopted families that they need to check on this, that they should let them kind of grow, and don't put any limits on them, because the more limits you put on these kids, or as we've seen, especially internationally with these kids that are institutionalized, that
Yeah.
their growth potential is just keeps going lower because less interaction, less support, less love. Sometimes
Yeah.
the vast majority of their interaction at some of these orphanages is just food in the mouth, food in the mouth, food in the mouth. Okay, see you later till next time. And it's
Right.
tough. It's tough. And so when we're able to support families adopting, we know we're going to bring this child to a forever home. We know we're going to support this family to bring this child in, but we also know that that child's life, their life expectancy, their quality of life is just a rocket ship up. And, for that kind of impact on something, just moving them to a different to a different location, it's amazing to me in a
Yeah.
lot of ways.
Yeah. Well, I love that idea of like if people are reluctant or hold back when they're encountering somebody who's different, just building that bridge and saying, hey, So it's okay to talk. It's okay to reach out to that person. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Ask
they're just people.
questions.
Ask
Ask
questions. Yeah.
questions. What's so scary? And be like,
Right.
there's adults and kids. We're very lucky that we have an angel ambassador named David DeSanctis, and I
Uh-huh.
recommend you to go to Netflix. Everyone watching, go to Netflix and watch Where Hope Grows. It's an amazing movie that kind of just shows a relationship with someone with Down syndrome. But David is amazing to me because I'm bad with names. It's my biggest flaw for what I do in development and every. So I am always writing notes. I'm always having little pieces of paper trying to work on this. David is a Rolodex. He can
Yeah.
get every name. Oh, that's James. He's from St. Matthew Street. I'm like, what is going on? And I'm still just trying to be like James. And it's just I think the spectrum of these amazing individuals is just so big, and that
Yeah.
when you see family members that put no limits and just kind of give them an opportunity to grow. And David's one of those where he was at our golf tournament, 15 years ago saying he wanted to be an actor and everyone laughed. And now he's been in multiple movies and
Yeah.
no one's laughing. They are applauding his amazing tenacity and amazing work. And those are the ones like I get goosebumps talking about that one because it's like they laughed at him. They laughed at him, mate, like, oh, that's a funny joke. No joke. He
Right.
he has a goal. He achieved it. And he's doing so
Yeah,
I
I
think
would
he's about
agree.
to shoot another.
That's a great movie. I think does he play the guy calls him Produce or something like
Yeah,
that? I
produce.
believe
He
in the
works at
movie.
a grocery store. And yeah, he's fantastic. It's so
Yeah, I
good.
had a
It
chance
really
when I
is.
was working on my book research to interview David and his parents, and David is not a shy individual. He's a character. I love
Yeah, if
that.
anything, I need to bring him back a little bit every once in a while.
Yeah,
But no, he's
he's a
fantastic.
little bit of a ham, but that's okay.
He is a hit, but we're so lucky. He's going to be at our golf tournament, yelling for and hitting golf balls for our people at July 28th. And it's too late. You guys can sign up next year.
Right.
We're doing some fun stuff, and it's so fun when you get part of this community. You start making connections. You start seeing this amazing community, and the more families I talk to, the more there's families like there's one we're about to prove right now where they already have a child with Down syndrome and they're adopting another child with Down syndrome. We're like, fantastic. They already know. We have some that we worry about a little bit. We try to make sure everyone knows what they're getting into, but certain families we're like, oh, they know. They know. So it's going to be great. So we're just
You
so lucky.
mentioned setting limits, and I think that's a topic that comes up on almost every podcast, whether we're talking to a nonprofit or a parent, and it's that balancing act, as any parent for a quote typically abled kids, whatever typical is, as if the goal were to be normal, right? For any
Exactly.
parent, there's this balance of like wanting your kids to like take risks and experience new things, but also not wanting them to fall down and get hurt. And you've got that helicopter parent, you've got that parent on the other end. Then you throw into the mix a disability or an extra challenge. And some people, the parents, the aunts, the uncles, tend to like hover a little bit more and want to protect that child. And other people are like, no, they'll learn through growth and experience. What have you observed with that? And what do you talk to parents about, especially if they have younger kids? What can they do to contribute to their kids' success in this realm of expectations and setting the bar?
I don't want anyone getting mad at me, but I do say a lot where the helicopter parent, it's too much. It's,
Yeah.
my mom says that, with any kid, like a little baby, a toddler's walking, right? And how many people are, ooh, 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 ooh. When she says they're low to the ground, they're falling 6 inches, like that's part of learning is, oh, that hurt. That didn't feel good. Just like if we make playgrounds too safe, there's more injuries later because kids think, oh, if I fall like this is safe. When they fall on not the playground, oh, I broke my arm. So there's these things where it's like you're trying to fix things, but you don't realize that there's other results. So to me, it's you go to the level of the child, you go to the level of the person with Down syndrome, and um, that doesn't mean you let them pick. You challenge them as well. Give them challenges to see, are we ready for this? People with Down syndrome or disability, I know more about Down syndrome, but there's the delays. There's a delay, speaking delay. Muscles are a little bit softer, lower testosterone, so you don't have as big muscles. And these are all, issues, but nothing that can not be overcome. There's an amazing bodybuilder. I can't think of his name right now, but I follow him. He's got Down syndrome, and he is a killer. He's jacked. He's lifting. He's meeting. He just trained with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's doing cool things, and to me, I think that's the best. Where he's he's not following somebody else. There's not many Down syndrome people lifting and bodybuilding, but he's blazing his own trail. And because of that, amazing things are happening. He's going on stage. He's winning. Like it's fantastic. We have kids that are making videos. We have kids that are making fun videos. This girl that hopefully I'll announce very soon. I think she's up in Maryland. She just won an award for her podcast where she's just kind of making funny kind of news videos, and it's awesome. It's so fun. Another girl that just won a Webby. There's all these opportunities, but the same as I think of the kids that are on the lower end, less functioning of the spectrum. And to me, it's kind of the same thing. You see what they can do, what level they're at, and you work towards that. When my board president has a son that's more lower functioning, and I got to meet him a few weeks ago for the first time, and he's flipping some chairs while we sign some checks, and the whole time he's apologizing to me, and I'm like, he's doing great. Oh, no, what's not breaking anything, not a big deal. And then I talked a little bit, and when I was saying goodbye, I'm like, oh, I had such a nice meeting you, and I got a big smile from him, from the child. And according to my board president, it's like, oh, he doesn't do that often. And to me, I'm like, oh, that's so amazing. Like to me, that I was touched. And so it's, where I do say setting limits, where, if I'm talking to somebody, they say something inappropriate, I just talk to them like every other kid, like, oh, we're not supposed to do that. It's inappropriate. We shouldn't do that. You're going to get hurt. But if you're not going to get hurt, you're not doing anything to bother anybody. Let them figure things out. Push them, get them training, get them, just like
Yeah.
any other kid. And you'll be surprised on what they can do. And if they can't, you'll kind of figure that out too. But these kids and adults really will surprise you. And the more opportunity they can to do that, I'd let them.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I'm sure across the board, the kids who had more limited opportunities because people were afraid it wasn't possible for them, it probably inhibits their growth, right? Because
Oh,
they're kind
completely.
of live in a smaller box.
Well, there's a great ad where they're talking about if you think I can only do, uh, what bingo was his name. Oh, I'm only gonna sing bingo, like, or if I could do Shakespeare. If you teach me Shakespeare, I'll learn Shakespeare. And like, there's
Right.
this thing where, or I'm really just taking from this great commercial they did, but it's like if the trainer doesn't know how hard you can hit, he's not going to push you to hit harder of the punching bag. It's like these
Right.
limits that I think people put on people with disabilities is unfair in some ways
Yeah.
because like we're talking about doing these events, and everyone's worried if we do something on the boat, it's like, well, what about the children time? We'll have 4 people around and we'll make sure. I'm like, they'll be fine. Put a life vest on them. I'm not saying free for all on a boat, but treat
Right.
them just like everyone else. Well,
Yeah.
it's nothing, not a big deal. And we're gonna, if kids that are about to jump in, yeah, maybe we should make sure someone's gonna stop that. But I always laugh at some of these things where it's like, oh, is he gonna be okay? I'm like, what what's the problem?
Right.
Why wouldn't he be okay?
Yeah.
And so it all just comes down to education and kind of seeing. And if you don't know, just ask. You're like, oh, you comfortable with this? And be like, yes. Parents there,
Yeah.
are you comfortable with this? And be like, maybe. So it's always that kind of fun thing where when with this community especially that
Yep.
you get parents that know, and then they immediately kind of pass that on to the parent that doesn't know. And
Right.
I think sometimes our main thing that we do is protect. We love that. We love that baby. We love that child. We love them so much. But I think that can be a disservice sometimes because we want them to be able to grow and
Yeah,
learn and challenge themselves. And if my parents never let me tie my shoes, I probably won't know how to tie my shoes. So,
yeah.
challenge them.
Yeah, and probably if we had David's parents on here and you're talking about all the things he's been able to achieve, probably one of their keys to success is they didn't define early on what was possible for him. They let him do
Exactly.
things. And that's that whole
Exactly.
theme. You guys are working with so many different families, especially families that are getting ready to adopt. What have you seen as far as the impact on the total family of having a kid in your life who has differences? And what do you coach families on with that?
So, the studies that have been done have shown that siblings of someone with Down syndrome are more empathetic, hardworking.
Mm,
Like if you're trying to get your child ready for the workforce, adopt a child with Down syndrome because they will be ready. It's unbelievable. And I see it every day where we get pictures sent to us and videos sent to us about, some of our angel families, and you can see um, on both sides, low functioning and high functioning children, the siblings are unbelievably involved. And it's amazing. It's amazing to see. And, just recently, our founder's child, who has that, there are multiple children with Down syndrome. He had knee surgery. He's about 8 or 9, and a little bit low functioning, but just a sweet kid. And they had to like change the ice over and over, next few days. And uh, Mike, my founder, is talking, was like, I looked at him, in pain, and like, how could I not want to help him? How could I not take care of him? And so I think there's two sides of it where there's a group of this population that needs to be just taken care of, loved and supported, and I think that's fantastic. And there's others in this community that are ready for a bunch of siblings and to grow and to be that sibling that's helping other siblings. And it's just, you can just see the growth. Um, there's this one thing I did want to touch on with Down syndrome advantage. It's one of these things that there has been studies about where, families adopting a child with Down syndrome, they talk about the strong community bonds, or, get more support in the community because of this thing. But it is proven, but it's more of affluent families. Affluent families, when they adopt a child, the community is there because they can travel, they have the money to do certain things. Not that there's not support from the government, there is, but it still kind of brings down some options. So it's really with a if socioeconomics was not involved, that curve would be flattened. So the advantage is not as big, but
right.
there's still this exists where this community is so into helping each other and
Mhm.
educating and supporting that when someone has a child with Down syndrome, adopts a child with Down syndrome, there's like built-in community that, whether it's GG Playhouse or Down syndrome Louisville or wherever else, as well as Angels in Disguise and Down syndrome, all these organizations to support, it's grown
Yeah,
because how many years ago there was no support. And so these families had to come together to get loud and to work together to make impact. That impact really is doubling Down syndrome's life expectancy, which is unbelievable. And it's continued to grow where now we're starting to deal with more Alzheimer's and other issues with age related issues, which is
right.
a great problem to have. It's definitely an issue. We need to fix it. But man, if we're talking about KPIs, that's unbelievable.
I love that. I want to talk to you a little bit about some things about the organization at sort of a little bit more granular level. But first, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
When you have a kid who is different, all your ducks need to be in a row, especially your money. Cam Howell with Primerica knows the joys and challenges as he and his wife raise their medically fragile son, Brooks. Cam brings over 14 years of experience to help his clients be protected, have a plan for the future, reduce debt, and connect to resources. Get your financial house in order so that you can enjoy every moment with your child. Reach out today at 502 803 5075. And now back to the show. So, Tyler, we've talked a little bit about the organization. Tell me, first of all, people want to know more about you. Where do they find you? Give us your website.
So we are angelsinDisguise.net, and then our Instagram is support the smile. Support the smile. So we're either support the smile or angels in disguise, and then but .net. We're working on getting some orgs and the mess of trying to get these websites.
Okay, perfect. So right now, in terms of an organization, what are some of the big things? What are ways people can get engaged with you, help you? What are some of your big needs, and where are you headed in the future, not just today?
Our big needs, we want more people to get involved. And whether that is your time, your treasure, or your expertise, we need support. We need help. We have two full-time staff members, and we do the work of probably about 10. We like it that way because most of the money goes to where it needs to be going, these families and action. But we would love board members that want to get more involved and to making impact and helping these amazing children and finding forever homes. We're just getting to 160 adoptions. We were at 151 in May for Derby, so we are rolling. We need sponsors. We're doing some amazing stuff with Little Caesars, which is fantastic. But we're looking for anyone who wants to support us, as well as we do our roundup campaigns, or there's a halo campaign as well, whatever works for you, where you're asking at your business to round up or give $1 for angels. We do some fun prizes and cool stuff with that, and then some end of campaign recognition. So we just try to make it a win-win where you can donate, have your customers donate, but then also get the communicative impact that your organization or company gets. So if you've raised 50,000, you are helping support, over 10 international adoptions or 20 local adoptions, which is amazing. And we're just so thankful to be put in that situation. We're also looking for volunteers, sponsors, and we're small enough. We are, we're going to probably be doing a first pitch with the Detroit Tigers. We're going to be doing some more stuff with Little Caesars, but we're small enough that as long as there's a win-win for both us and the organization, we're open to events, to projects, to things that are fun, to sports stuff. I think we're working to use UPS and Humana to do like a dragon boat race where they can do some fitness and fun, or a dragon boat tug of war where there's two teams in the same boat. Just anything to kind of let people get fit, but then also have a few, notes about Down syndrome just to learn. And it's kind of, we don't try to hit people over the head. We just try to meet David, meet Leslie, meet John Paul, it's just get a little experience and then come back to the next one. We'll keep on introducing to more and more of these amazing kids. We're really just, it's for me, I want people that are passionate about children and adults with Down syndrome, and just reach out. I'd love to talk to you and see how you can get involved.
I love that. So give us your website one more time.
So that's Angels in Disguise. I'll give you one more, angelsinDisguise.net, and one more of our another projects that we need people with Down syndrome to sign up to as well is our Angels Days, where we have corporations, companies all around the country that they'll have a day for angels where people with Down syndrome will shadow their servers or front desk staff. It's great. Sometimes we raise money, sometimes we don't, but there's a load of people, hundreds of people that get to meet someone with Down syndrome when they never had an opportunity. So it's just fantastic.
And I always kind of like to wrap up with it's a super oversimplification, but if we were to bring you in as a speaker to some young parents who had kids with a variety of different disabilities, and we wanted you to share with them, what do you think are your advice to them as young parents, 2 or 3 keys to success raising their kids to become productive adults?
Yeah. So first thing I would say, give yourself some grace. You're already doing the hard part. You've already doing something that if you told another person that they were going to have to do, they'd be scared and brokenhearted in a way. When you start educating other families and realize what it is, then I would say, be consistent, like expectations, I'd throw them out. Timelines, I'd throw them out. Each one of these
Mhm.
kids are different. Each one of these kids will surprise you. Each one of these kids has an opportunity to just shock you, and that all these timelines and all the experts are wrong in a lot of ways. But for to me, I just say give yourself grace, don't have any expectations, and don't put limits on these kids. And then ask for help. Would probably be the last thing where families with children with Down syndrome want to help you. They want to so bad, and I've never experienced a community just a community like that. I've been in this gig for a long time and trying to get people to volunteer and trying people to get people to show up. Sometimes it's very difficult.
Yeah.
This community, it seems to not be as much of the case because first they're just thankful for what we're doing, but also they want to bring their kid out to experience more life and to grow and to meet more people and to change minds. And to me, it just makes me so happy. It's one of those things where you can just see the change, you can see the growth, and I'm just lucky to be a part of it.
Well, Tyler, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story. I know you guys enjoyed it because I loved listening to him talk about the great work they're doing. We would love your ideas for future stories for individuals that are traveling this path. It could be that 20, 30-year-old person who grew up as the kid with the disability, could be a parent who has a unique story raising kids, or like Tyler's organization, Angels in Disguise, amazing nonprofits around the nation that are doing good work. Hit me up. I'd love to get them involved as a future guest. We could use your help, not having seeing ability be a best kept secret. So go ahead and like us, follow us on Facebook, rate and review the podcast, share it with episode. I think your advice at the end, that little snippet there, that can empower a lot of parents. So we could use your help getting this to other people. Tyler, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you.
And everybody else, we'll see you next time.